Hello, podcast listener. This is your host with the most, and I've got a story, a nautical story for you. So, if you are a fan of maritime law, enjoy this episode of JJ Meets World and my delicious boating adventures.
And by the way, if you'd like to help support our podcast, visit jjmeetsworld.com where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some killer swag at our merch shop, or click the link to Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review.
1, 2, 3, 4. J.J. Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. J.J. has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirled as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprained. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called J.J. Meets World.
Tucker, I am coming to you live from a small wooden cabin on Big Detroit Lake in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. And I understand you just got back from some lake time yourself.
I just got back from Cotton Lake, the old McDonald's family cabin, and I'm feeling nice and refreshed.
Do you ever sing the song Old MacDonald, but add in different things depending on what you're doing? Like Old MacDonald had a lake.
You know, I'm all for starting new traditions, so I think maybe we got to make that happen.
Okay. I'm having a great lake experience, with the exception of I had some major drama on the way down here.
Uh-oh. What lake are you on?
I'm on Big Detroit.
That's the thing. If you're not from the lakes area, you always got to ask. You got to ask what lake is it? Because literally in Minnesota, there are how many thousands? 10,000?
This is the land of 10,000 lakes.
Yeah. What happened on the drive down?
So, real quick before I get to that, you do make a good point about how when someone's like, "Oh, I'm going down the lake." Oh, what lake are you on?
Yep.
And then they'll say Cotton Lake, and even if you don't know where that is, you're like, "Oh, yeah, sure."
Do you think for some people that's them going, "Are we going to party?"
Oh, 100%.
Because they want to know if you're on their lake, right?
They want to know if this is another beach that I can pull up to on the pontoon, throw the cooler off for a second. Maybe you're cooking something up on the grill. There is something different about the lakes area than in just the familiarity. It's almost like everyone's in it together. I imagine this would be like to colonize the moon. It would be very similar to lake culture.
Yeah,
because you're
real
all
1 to 1 ratio,
boat, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, I bought a boat last year. Right? You can go back and listen to the episode about me buying my 1995 Prince Craft Vacanza boat. Got the boat out of storage in April, brought it up to the in-laws. It's been sitting in their lawn. And when I picked the boat up on Thursday, which I took the day off, the grass was as high as the boat trailer underneath it because it had just been sitting there since April. So I was like, "Sorry about letting your grass get overgrown. Bring it down, put it in my driveway." And I think, you know what? I should get inside this boat. I should just do a once over. But I was like, I don't need to worry about it. It's been in storage. It's just been sitting there. It's no big deal. So on Friday, everyone drives down to the lake early, and I'm going later. And you might say, "Well, JJ, didn't you take the day off?" Yes, I did take the day off, but I also had tickets to see Superman. So I prioritized seeing Superman and then getting out of town a little bit later. So I am towing the boat with my father-in-law's pickup truck, and everything's going fine. In fact, I take the scenic route down. Don't even go on the big highway. I take a kind of not the back roads, but it's a 2-lane highway. It's the way I prefer to get to the lakes. And I'm about 15 minutes from my destination when I hear honk, 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 honk. And I look in my rear view and there's some flashing lights. And then there's it's not cop lights, but it's blinking lights on top of this pickup truck. And so I pull over pretty quickly and I get out and the guy's like, "You're throwing tread off your tire." And so I look at the driver's side tire of the trailer, and sure enough, it had almost completely thrown all the tread off of it.
Oh, damn.
which means that the next thing that would have happened would have been for the thing to burst.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever been in a car or a trailer where a tire has burst before.
I've been right behind one.
So I've never been in one either, but I know that like it's incredibly dangerous, especially like it's not even on my vehicle, so I've got three other tires to deal with. I've got one other tire, and so this thing would have been like I would have been screwed. And so this guy's like, I live right there. And he points at a driveway, I kid you not, 20 yards from where we are. And he goes, come on up, like I'll take a look at it and we'll get you settled. And I was like, oh my God, what luck is this? So
Wow.
I drive up this like gravel driveway and I park at the edge of this guy's rural property. And he comes out of his garage. He's got a jack. He's got a board to put the jack on. He's got an impact drill to take the lug nuts off. I mean, this guy like it. This is what Jesus looks like in the 21st century. He he's got a salt and pepper beard. He is a rural man's man, and so his name's Rick. Shout out to Rick. And so we get the tire off. Of course I don't have a spare for it, and it's 6:30 on a Friday night. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get into DL and see if I can swap out this tire. And there's only a couple of places I could even think of, and only one of them was open. So I get to this place called L&M Fleet Supply. It's like a mini version of a fleet farm. I go in there, I go to their tire department, I wheel the tire in, and I was like, hey, this just blew on my trailer. And he's like, okay, okay. And this guy had the longest wizard beard I think I've ever seen of a human being. So it's like, this, in a way, this is the guy I want helping me in this situation, right? So, so the Wizard of Tires takes like the information he can't read. He goes, does this say what does this say? And I said, it says only. And he goes, what? And I said, it says only, like in the rubber. And he goes, well, that's not what I'm looking for. So he ends up finding what he needs for information. He goes to the back. Another guy, another older man who's wearing a button-up shirt, but the top like five buttons aren't buttoned. And he's at work.
Oh, he's showing some sizzle.
He is showing some sizzle, and he's an older gentleman who probably was really muscular when he was younger, but skin starts to sag, but he doesn't care. He's rocking. He goes, oh, what happened? And so I tell him the story, and he goes, a couple of years ago, my wife was in the front yard of our house, and we live along the highway, and she fell and she broke her shoulder, and she couldn't get up. She didn't have the strength to get up, and she laid there for 5 hours before I got home, even though people on the driveway, and she was like, yelling and like waving one arm for help. I was like, oh,
Jeez,
that sucks.
He just says this.
Yeah, he volunteered, and so we end up having maybe like a 5-minute discussion about how his wife. I said, well, what if you had been out of town? He goes, she'd be dead.
Ugh.
And he's like, and then he told me something very bizarre. He's like, predators look for animals that are wounded. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, is this some kind of sage wisdom? Like, is he the fucking wizard and you are the bard coming to like give me wisdom? So guy comes back and he goes, well, I can't get the tire in until Tuesday. And I said, well, that doesn't help. And he goes, do you want me to order it? And I said, no, I got to go get this boat, because I left the boat. I unhitched the boat and left it at this guy's property. So when I find out that I'm not going to be able to get this tire, I finally go and meet the rest of my group, and they're all at Zorba's having a great time. Zorba's is a pizza joint if you're not from this area. And they're having a great time, and I tell everyone this story, and I was like, this backwoods Jesus saved me, and he's just awesome. And so I text the guy and I'm like, hey Rick, this is JJ, the guy with the boat. I can't get a tire from this place in DL, and everywhere else is closed. So tomorrow I'm going to drive back into Fargo, and at 8 a.m. a tire store, which by the way, we're not sponsored by Les Schwab, but Go there for all your tire needs. I kid you not. So I sent Jill there because she had a slow leak in one of her tires and she needed something done quick. And I was like, well, they've got 3 locations in Fargo Moorhead, so they probably can take care of you quickly. They went there, they put the tire up, found the leak, and they said, okay, well, it's gonna take us 10 minutes, but we're not gonna charge you. And they said, just, remember us the next time you have, like, you need to buy tires or you need something done, like, we can do this for you and be awesome. So I remember how well they treated Jill, and so I was like, hell's bells, man, I'm gonna get on this too. And so I went there, and a young kid named Reese, I didn't even have to take the tire out of my truck, Tucker. I pulled into that parking lot, and this kid was Johnny on the spot running on. He goes, how can I help you today? And I said, oh, I got this tire. I need it replaced for a trailer. He goes, okay, let me help you. And he pulls on his gloves, and he rolls the whole thing in for me, and he takes a look, and he goes, all right, I have one tire left in this size right now. They're really popular. He goes, everyone's popping trailer tires right now. And so I was like, okay. I was like, when can you get it done? He's like, take me 5 minutes. So they get the new tire put on the rim, because that's the problem, right? Is I don't need a whole new tire and rim. I just need them to replace the tire
Just the
on the
rubber.
rim. Yeah. And so he said, he goes, this isn't a sales pitch, but if we're going to put a new tire on one side, you should probably put a new tire on the other before the end of the year, just so that they match a little bit more. And he goes, also, whoever put these tires on there, these are the cheapest tires you can imagine. And he showed me on how, like, the thing flipped off. And so while he was working on it, I Googled that brand of tire and, like, trailer, and the Reddit page about them was insane. People talking about how, like, they were just driving along and the tire blew up, or they, like
Okay.
like, so I don't think this kid was filling me full of,
Right.
bull hockey.
Yeah, he was trading in on like the trust capital that they built with you,
Yes,
right?
exactly. And great business, right? Great business to do something like that. But I should also mention, so I'm at Zorba's. I text Rick. My plan is to drive into Fargo and be there at 8 a.m., get the tire. I should be back there because and my intention was not to have him help me anymore. It was like, I'll bring my impact drill back and I'll put all your stuff back by your garage. You don't have to wait for me. And then he calls me like 3 minutes later, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Is this when he's going to be, can I have some money for, leaving it
Right.
here? Like, or did it roll down the hill, and is now sitting in a gully somewhere? And he goes, hey, if I say the name Roxy to you, what does that mean? And I said, well, I know 2 Roxys. And he goes, my wife worked with your sister at Microsoft. And this woman, Roxy, was like Chrissy's best friend at Microsoft for seven
Oh, no
years.
kidding. No
And
kidding.
yeah, so what a small world it happens to
Wow.
be. So here, and like Roxy doesn't recognize me when I'm out. Like, she's inside her house looking out, like, well, what the hell is Rick doing with some, formerly chubby guy? And like, why is there a giant boat from 1995 parked, like on our property? And so he comes in, he's like, yeah, help this guy. And like, it was just dumb luck that he started throwing tread and I happened to be behind him. And, I told him we could do this and we popped the tire off. And she's like, well, what's his name? He goes, JJ Gordon. And she's like, I know JJ Gordon. And I've met Roxy, 5 or 6 times.
Uh,
And so Chrissy hadn't looked at her phone, but Roxy had been blowing up Chrissy and being like, well, your brother's boat's now parked in front of my place. And I mean, I can't tell you, like, it was one of those moments where I I needed help, right?
yeah.
Doing this on my own out there, because it wasn't my truck, it was my father-in-law's truck, so I don't know where his jack is. I didn't, like, I don't know if he had a tire iron somewhere, what I was going to do, because I think that the lug nuts on the trailer tire were a different size than what would be on his truck tires. So unless you've got one of those 4-post pieces, it might not even work. So
Hmm.
I get the new tire. I get down there. I chat with Roxy for like an hour. Rick puts the new tire on. He doesn't let me do anything. He puts the new tire on. He checks the torque on it. Like he does everything. And I was like, you guys are, saintly. Thank you so much. And I said, I will gladly, you want tickets to something? I'd love to get you a gift card for a restaurant, whatever it is. And she goes, would you ever be willing to talk to a nonprofit on your radio show? And I said, I love nonprofits. And so she has an affinity for a guy, I think, is it called Patriot Pups? But it's a group out of DL who train service dogs for
Oh,
veterans.
cool. Oh,
And I
nice.
said,
Okay.
right? And I said, listen, they're going to get sick of me. I'm going to talk to them so much. And it's thanks to you. And so like we had a nice back
Nice.
and forth. And it's one of those things where like only in the Midwest, right? It ends with a handshake with him and a hug with her. And then I'm on my
Mhm.
merry way with the boat. But by the time I got the boat down here, I was like, I'm not taking this thing back to Fargo. I'm gonna drive it into a boat dealership before I leave at the end of the week and be like, make me an offer. And if they're like, I don't know, $20, I will pull $20 out of my wallet and be like, there you go. You're not even paying me. You keep it. So
So the
later,
saga of JJ's boat is over.
it's just it like is the juice worth the squeeze, right?
Yep,
Because
yep,
I
yep.
could I like we're on Big Detroit, so I could have rented a boat from the marina here. Now, given to rent a boat for like 3 days is like $1,000.
It's super expensive.
It
Yep.
is like clearly, Tucker, we're in the wrong business.
Yep. But if you don't
Um,
have your year-round storage close to the lake that you're going to be using the boat on, then it becomes a real big hassle.
Bingo. And so like, getting that boat back and forth, there's just a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
I'm ready to let it be somebody else's problem. Or even this, like the boat I bought is enormous. It is huge. It is the like like when like the Pony Express, right? Like trust me, this analogy will make sense in a second. If you're in the Pony Express and you're trying to get mail as fast as you can from one place to another, you are not being like, okay, what horse should I have? This small, sleek one or a Clydesdale? I chose a Clydesdale. And the type of boat it is known as a deck boat. So it's a hybrid between a pontoon and a speedboat. You get the benefits of a speedboat and like
Oh,
the
sure.
ability to like tow and stuff like that. But it is also like really large and kind of flat. So you
So
can
it's a fast pontoon.
it's a fast pontoon. It doesn't have pontoons on it. It's built
Okay.
like a speedboat, but you can have
Oh,
like
okay.
12 people on it easy.
Oh, goddamn. That is
Yeah,
big.
it's big. Like I've been in elevators that carry less people. So it's and like the coloring on it, those coffee cups, that iconic like teal and pink coffee cup that was out there forever. Like if you or like maybe they made like soda cups with it too, but it's kind of this like
Oh,
design that
yep.
looks like swishes.
Yep.
Okay, that's the coloring of this boat, that
Okay.
teal and pink. And so
Had you named it?
we haven't yet. It's got the previous owners had put a Jesus fish on the back, and then the name of it was Sunbeam, but SON, his
Well,
son beam. And so here were my boat names that I was gonna do. I was gonna do the C word because I love that
yep.
joke from Rest Development, right?
Yep. Get rid of the C word. I'll leave when
Yeah,
I'm good and ready.
yeah. Yeah, buoy was another one that I really liked.
That's the
Or
kind of one that sounds like either Natalie or Britta came up with it.
no, actually, that was Damon Wayans Jr. who I first heard doing
Oh,
that. Right. And then you're gonna really appreciate this, Tucker. In I was like, okay, maybe I want like a cinematic type thing, right? Like maybe I want something. And so then I thought maybe I'll name it the Wanderer, which is the name of the boat from Captain Ron.
okay.
And then then here's the thing. When I go to the sandbar and someone comes up and they're like, "Oh, the Wanderer," like in Captain Ron, I find my people,
Oh,
right?
sure.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like bringing a small dog like to a dog park, and like
Yeah.
if a woman is attracted to that, like there you go. Like I did it.
JJ,
Mission accomplished.
I'm gonna buy a boat so you can just get on my boat, and I'm gonna name my boat Captain Ron is a bad movie.
Is it going to have dashes, or is it going to be different words?
No, full grammatically correct, like just a
Mhm.
sentence. It's just a sentence.
Well, I will get on your boat and then I'll sink that thing.
Well, and here's what I'll do too.
I'll put it into the briny deep.
I'll make sure to put in parentheses what the year the movie came out too, just in case someone makes a Captain Ron remake, because maybe that's really good, and I don't want people to think that I think that remake is bad. Yeah.
Okay, one of my favorite times ever is Rachel, who was just on the last episode of JJ Meets World, got her sailing certificate and took me sailing at a lake in Minneapolis. And the lake used to be called something, and they don't call it anymore because we're better now than we were then. But I can't pronounce the new name of the lake, so it's the lake that's near Uptown, and people will understand what that is. So she took. It was Jill, myself, her friend Susie, and I can't remember the other guy, but we all went sailing together, like in an actual sailboat, like uh jive ho, no, not jive ho,
Jive ho!
jib ho, which means that the sail is switching from one side to the other, and I was in charge. I had to pull lines. Like, it was a great experience, but my job beforehand was to build a playlist for Captain Ron. And so I said, okay, I'm sorry, playlist for the sailing. And so I was like, okay, the Captain Ron soundtrack.
Got it.
So Captain Ron opens with this song where it's like, ooh, tweet up, bop, tweet up, tweet up, bop, tweet it, up, bop, tweet up, and showing signs of like Chicago and how cold it is. And of course, it's got the famous Captain Ron logo, which incorporates a Hawaiian shirt design and a parrot. It's fantastic. So the first song plays and like nobody comments on it. And the second song is a song called Sweet Caroline, but not Sweet Caroline like the Neil Diamond song. It's like come along with me, Caroline, Caroline. It's a great tune. It's a fantastic song, and their daughter's name is Caroline, which is why it plays in the movie. And Rachel's friend Susie like leans over and she goes, "Is this the Captain Ron soundtrack?" And I was like, "Oh my God, Susie, I have so much respect for you right now. I like if you weren't married with a kid already, I'd be like, let's form a thruple." It was a moment, and I don't. Have I ever told you about the time that I talked to the kid from Captain Ron?
No.
Okay. So, the boy in Captain Ron, Martin Short's son, is also the son in the show The Nanny. Okay, with Fran Drescher.
Yep.
And I'm at a wedding. I'm at a wedding for my friend Annie. And Tom. Annie married Tom. So I'm at this wedding and I'm sitting at the table I'm assigned to, and there's like six of us there, and we all know each other except for one guy. And he's kind of like sitting there and he's not really talking. And so I go and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Like, one of these things is not like the other. And he goes, oh, yeah, my wife went to college with Annie in the cities, and she's in the bridal party, and so I gotta sit here. And I'm like, well, good news, you're part of our friend group tonight. And so we get some shots and we're sitting around and just kind of jawing and things like that. And he like we're just chatting, and I'm trying to break the ice, and I'm like, so like, I love movies. At the time I worked at a video store, and I was like, what's your favorite movie? And he goes, well, like, this is a weird thing, but my favorite movie's like this shitty movie from the 90s called Captain Ron. And I was like, bullshit, you're lying. Who told you to say that? Which person here put you up to this? Because it's not funny anymore. It actually feels cruel. And he goes, no, I'm serious. And I'm like, what? Someone told you. And he's like, no, I love the movie Captain Ron. And they threw out some real deep Captain Ron quotes. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, do you like that movie? And I'm like, I love it. And I showed him my phone. And this is like the infancy of the iPhone. And the only piece of media I have saved in there is the entire film of Captain Ron, which I had like ripped the DVD of and saved that file. It probably took up all the memory on that first iPhone. And he like was, and so like, we've had a little bit to drink, and he goes, I grew up with the kid from Captain Ron. And I was like, shut the front door. You did not. And he goes, yeah, I grew up with him. He's from the Twin Cities. And so I was like, you're kidding me. He goes, should we call him? And I was like, yes, we should. And so he explained to me that, he was a child actor. He didn't like the grind of Hollywood. And at the time, he was giving like backlot tours for Universal Studios. Like, here he was. He had been in a movie with Kurt Russell and Martin Short. He was on a long-running sitcom, and now he's giving tours at Universal Studios. And so we step outside of the Radisson, and he calls him, and this kid picks up and he's like, hello. And he's like, hey, like, I can't even remember what his name was. I remember his name is Ben and Captain Ron. And he says, like, I'm with a big Captain Ron fan. And he goes, God, not again. And so I was like, hey, man, I think you were hilarious in that movie. That was great. And I was like, tell me about it. And he's like, I'm actually like, I'm out for my parents' like dinner. And I was like, you in Minneapolis right now? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, God, you want to go to Valley Fair together? You want to go? Should we hang out? But so yeah, and he was nice. He talked to us for like 15 minutes and told us like a couple like fun little stories. And that was actually how I found out that Kurt Russell and Martin Short own cabins on the same Canadian lake. Like they, between the two of them, they pretty much own the entire lake, and their cabins are across the like lake from each other.
Oh wow.
And they do like a one if by land, two if by sea, where like if one of them turns on their like dock lights and the other person turns on their dock lights, it means like, come on over, like we're home, let's have a drink.
Oh, nice.
Because Martin Short and his late wife were really good friends with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. And so now I assume Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn are hanging out with Martin Short and his new girlfriend, Meryl Streep. So that was good. So I liked it. And I will be wearing a captain's hat. I have two captain's hats, and one of them has like slightly more captain flair on it. So that's the one I'm going to wear. But I also have just like sailor's hats.
Are you going to wear the hat when you bring the boat back to give it back to the adoption center?
I owed 100%. And then I'm going to put the hat.
And then
in the boat.
When you hand them the keys, will you kind of sigh and then reach up and pull the hat off and look at it for a moment, and just in silence, and then put it in the boat, and then pat the side of the boat and go, "Girl, it's been a good run. It's been a good run."
When I get into the car and it's like, are you okay? Like, are you fine? I'm like, yeah, I'm great, because I got a new plan. And then I'm going to put a cowboy hat on, and then I'm going to go buy a horse.
That's going to wrap it up for today's show. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us continue to produce new episodes each week, visit jjmeetsworld.com, where you can donate to our Patreon, pick up some swag at the merch shop, or follow our link to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the sites the cool kids are using these days. JJ Meets World is produced every week by Tucker Lucas. You can find out more about Tucker's work by visiting moonbasemaria.com. If you want to get in touch with your host with the most, check out linebenders.com, where you can find direct contact info for JJ or booking information.
The biggest problem with my boat is it's so big that it keeps attracting attention of sugar babies.